Hey guys, Metal Matt here, and I've had some good feedback on my various how to sing like videos where I'm telling you how to sing like Rob Halford, Axl Rose, Marilyn Manson, Udo from Accept, loads of people, more, many more. I've done videos from time to time. It's not my usual kind of thing I do, but from time to time I'll give you some, tips if I can think of some good things to say. Recently I've had someone commenting on here when I did a live stream the other day. Can't remember your name, but thanks for the feedback. I'm glad you enjoy it. You were asking me to do some more high vocal stuff, high distorted scream. So that's what I'm here to kind of explain in a bit more depth, because I've talked about how to sing like Rob Halford and stuff like that in the past. I kind of always give my best kind of description of how I actually achieve the high notes that I hit, and how I kind of get it sometimes close to kind of Rob Halford's sound. The whole idea of what this video today is about is the high distorted scream. This isn't my usual technique in inhaling horrible fumes from this, but I'm multitasking because I've got a gig on Saturday and I need to do my nails a little bit. So I'm going to do my nails while I teach you how to high-pitched scream, if that's okay. Right, there we go. I'll let these dry. But yeah, so basically the kind of scream we're talking about is they're like, "Ah! Painkiller! Faster than a bullet!" That kind of thing, Rob Halford, that's one of his more extreme sort of vocals. Other singers do it, King Diamond's got a high voice. Udo from Accept, you got your balls to the wall, man. That kind of voice. But Rob Halford's kind of got a bit more of a shrill, a bit more of a shriek, and it's not always that gritty. Sometimes it's kind of like Dreamer Deceiver. We all lost the bomb. That kind of very clean high note. So I guess the thing I'm trying to teach you is how to add some distortion to your highs, and also how to hit the high notes anyway. If you don't know how to hit high notes, I'm going to try my best to sort of describe how I do it anyway. I don't know if it's going to be, easy for you or not, but I'm here to try and help. I'm a singer. If you don't know much about me, I'm Metal Matt. I was actually given the name Metal Matt by Rob Halford, so that was cool. I used that as my musician name, Metal Matt. So it's an honor to get that from Rob. I do a load of solo music. I got songs like The King of Hearts, which is very high vocal, so check out that one. I got The Changes in You, that's a bit more dark and Alice Cooper-y vibes, gothic. Loads of songs. Alien Invasion, that's got lots of high notes. Burn the Priest, that's a very extreme kind of thrash metal sort of classic metal vibe with high vocals. So yeah, I do a lot of high vocals in my own songs, and also a variation of vocals, because I like to keep it versatile. I don't just scream and stuff. I like to kind of, like Rob Halford, he can do beautiful ballads and stuff as well, like Beyond the Realms of Death, Angel. He shows off different parts of his voice. So that's what I also try and do. But to get into actually how to hit a high distorted scream in kind of layman's terms, I'm just a singer. I've self-taught myself. I put a lot of time into my singing and studying the singers I like Rob Halford, for instance, to how to achieve a high voice. But I think first things first, I naturally had a high kind of voice, so that helped, having a voice with the same kind of range, I guess, as the singers I admire helped me. So I guess if you don't really have a high voice and you've got a low voice, one thing I'll always say is embrace your voice as it is, and you should know your strong points. You've got singers like, Depeche Mode, he's got a very low voice, that Dave Gahan, if that's how you pronounce it. His voice is very low, but it's great and people love it. But I don't think you'll ever hear him singing like Rob Halford, but, embrace your voice, do something unique is something I'll always say. But if you can if you've got a fairly good range, as in you can kind of, whoa, yeah, 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 whoa, yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's where where I kind of go into a high falsetto kind of head voice vibe. If you can kind of go high and you've got a good range, you should be able to hit high notes. I think some of you might be stuck when it comes to the falsettos because it sounds very weak, kind of like a kind of like Bronxy Beat with Jimmy Somerville. He's got an amazing high voice, but if you're trying to do rock, it's different. You don't want to sound kind of poppy and like, you leave in the morning to your soul cry. It's a nice, beautiful voice, but you want to sound a bit more rock. You want to be like, oh, 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 sweet child of mine. Oh, 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 sweet love of mine. One key thing I do to try and achieve that stronger sound is I'm tuning into the high voice. So I'm going from that gentle, it's still the same sound. You start with that. You just add a bit more force, from the throat more than anything. Yeah, 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 yeah. And then if you want to add the distortion, you're letting it grate, you're suppressing the high notes somewhat to add the grit, so yeah, yeah. So you can start, if you can make that sound, yeah, 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 and then you can kind of thicken it up, yeah. It's like putting your voice through a grater, it's that's how I describe it. So you kind of, as long as you can hit those high notes, which, achieving that in the first place, I guess you just got to start with a very delicate sound. Is the sound you want to aim for. It's easier to kind of mold your voice from that sound. Yeah, pain, killer. So yes, all mainly kind of head, throat voice. I think with Rob Halford, it's been said that he sings from the chest a lot. I think there's some mix. I mix a little bit as well, like when I'm going, yeah, I've left the war behind. I am safe here in my mind. Similar kind of tone, but the I am safe here in my mind is more of a full voice, I am safe here. And then that molds into a head voice, I am safe here in my mind. So things like that, where you take it to a higher pitch, but you kind of come back into a smoother voice. That's kind of one way to make your voice sound more impressive. If you can kind of switch between the two, it can take a bit of practice. Practice makes perfect, as they always say, and it is true. The more you do it, the more you manipulate your voice. And the thing is, one thing I think with all singers who sing high, you might be like, I sing high, but I don't sound like Axl Rose. I don't sound like Rob Halford. But then nobody else does either. Axl Rose doesn't sound like Rob Halford, but he still sings high. So everyone's got a unique sound to their voice. But what we're talking about is the technique. If you're going to try and achieve that technique, it's not that difficult. It's just about mastering it. And Rob is the master of perfection. He sings. If you notice everything with him, diamonds and rust and everything. I'll be damned, here comes your ghost again. His diction is beautiful, he pronounces the words well. So everything is on point, so that includes the vocals and the way he hits the high notes. He isn't sloppy. If he was sloppy, it probably wouldn't sound as good, but because he's so precise with the way he hits the high notes, that's something to really work on, and I'm going to play you a few singers that sing high to have a different feel of how they sing. I've got some King Diamond first with Welcome Home. There's this isolated vocals I found, just to hear his voice, and I can kind of tell you what I think he's doing. So you'll notice that sound isn't that different to what I was doing a minute ago, Grandma, take me home, into the night. So it's more of a classic kind of falsetto head voice with King, and he doesn't really add distortion, he probably could if he wanted to, but he goes for more of a haunting vibe, that's what differentiates him to someone like Rob Halford or Axl Rose, you know, different styles, you know. He goes for a more haunting thing. Grandma! So first of all, it's a very high note. He's got a great vocal range. And in a way, you can either do it or you can't. I mean, if you're really struggling to get those high notes, you know, work with what you can do. Get as high as you can, you know, because people like Udo from Accept, you know, you got your balls to the wall, man. Yeah, balls to the wall. That's not that higher sound, you know, but he's still achieving a bit of a Rob Halford vibe with his voice. I don't know if he's purposely doing that. It's probably just unique to him, as I say. Embrace your unique thing. And a lot of these rock singers, they're singing with a kind of voice they've created, you know. I recently, you know, obviously with Ozzy's passing, beautiful voice Ozzy's got, you know, and unique. In fact, I'll play you a little clip of Ozzy singing, because there's an isolated version of Changes where he just sounds fantastic, and you'll hear how different a voice Ozzy has to most singers, and it's
I'm feeling happy. I feel so sad.
oh, God bless him. Miss Ozzy.
I've lost the best friend that I ever had.
He's a very melodic singer. I think that's what set Ozzy apart. And Gene Simmons recently said most singers put a bit of rock on their voice, of their rock edge on their voice, you know, to make it rocky. But Ozzy never did that. He was pure melody, you know. That was in the words of Gene Simmons. There's an article I read. He said some really nice things about Ozzy, and that was one of the, you know, Ozzy was pure melody. I feel unhappy. I feel so sad. And the thing with Ozzy, again, it's a unique voice. No one can get it. I daren't even attempt his voice, because you're never going to sound like Ozzy. There's something with his voice, and his tone is purely unique to him. But most singers have to create this voice. Ozzy just has it, you know.
She was my woman.
And a very clean voice, you know, especially for metal.
I loved her so. But now I've let her go. I'm going to change it.
I'm going through changes. So it's that kind of range, but unless you're, you know, got the unique talent Ozzy's got, you're not going to sound like him. And you notice his diction in like Rob's, where it's very precise. It's more, I feel unhappy. It's kind of almost sloppy, but like it's not, because he's getting the tones. He's less about what he's saying and more about the tones. I'm going through changes. It's more about the tone and the kind of the notes rather than the words, but the words are coming out sort of crystal clear anyway, you know. And it's a very
I'm going to change it.
beautiful, all melody, you know, and he can project. He's projecting his voice very well. So that's one thing with Ozzy you'll see is just fantastic. And we'll listen to a bit of Rob Halford now with, of course, Painkiller, and you'll hear what he does with his voice to achieve the sound. Which sort of,
He's half man and half machine. Rise the metal monster.
rise the metal monster, breathing smoke and fire. And it's like that kind of sound, you know. Closing in with vengeance, soaring high. So it's all in one level, really, you know.
Closing in with vengeance, soaring high.
Lots of effects, lots of reverb, echo. You know, Rob's uses a lot of that stuff, which makes his voice sound bigger and better, probably in a lot of ways. But I mean, Rob's got such a great voice. He sounds great, however, you know. One thing with Rob, I love how he's adapted over the years, you know. His singing's adapted in some ways as he's got older, but still he does it justice, and that is the perfectionist in him. And in fact, I met Rob and I said to him once, what I love with you is everything is so precise. And he said, well, you gotta be, you know. And that's Rob. You know, that's how he is. That's how he looks at it. You gotta be, you know. And it's true. So be it, you know. If you want to be perfect, but you got to put the work in. You got to perfect what you're doing, perfect your vocals. Yeah, having met Rob a few times, you know, he's very kind of, he's always seems pretty down to earth and things, and you know, he's just he's blessed with that voice, but he does look after it. You know, he doesn't drink or take anything anymore, and you know, he looks after his voice, you know. And I think he has a hot lemon or whatever when he's actually performing. Hot lemon drink that helps clear all your throat out of mucus and things like that. So there's lots of little tricks, you know. But yeah, but good luck, guys. You know, like I say, if you're trying to just hit the high notes, work on getting a bit of thickness, a bit of depth to your voice, you know, because I know sometimes it sounds a bit too airy. You know, people always reference King Diamond as a vocalist who, you know, some people are diehard fans, and then people who don't like him are like, King Diamond is just, you know, screaming, you know, weak screams or whatever. But it's not. It's very strong screams, you know. I cannot sleep at night. It's just a different way of using those high notes, you know. That's what the day is for anyway.
And as the clock strikes midnight.
And as the clock strikes midnight. See, he switches. This is like a head voice. I cannot sleep at night. So that is quite easy for probably most people to do, but you've got to have a lot of control. But just take it up a step. That's what the day is for anyway. It's more of a full sound, you know. You're making it sound more fuller. Like a horn, you know. You need to get it to that kind of level of pitch, and then your breath control. And then if you want to add some grit to that, take it down to the chest a bit more. Yeah! Let it grind in the throat. Yeah! I can't sleep at night! That would be a much more extreme version of the song. Anyway, let's hear a bit of Axl Rose before we go and see how he's hitting his high notes.
We are the people that can find whatever you may need. If you got the money, honey, we got your disease in the jungle.
So far, it's all low voice. We got your disease. If you want the money, honey, we got your disease. And it's kind of just this natural low baritone with a bit of grit, you know, adding that grit. You could just sing like that. If you got the money, honey, we got your disease. If you got the money, honey, you got your disease. So it's all here, you know, it's all, that's where all the manipulation's happening, you know. Welcome to the jungle. It's like a kind of midwife. Welcome to the jungle. Let me bring you to your knees. And it's kind of more clean in some ways.
I want to watch you bleed.
I want to watch you bleed. So Rob is a bit more, you know, force on the high notes. Axl's quite kind of airy. Welcome to the jungle. Got it day by day. You can almost go from a kind of clean, full voice, but it's kind of more heady. It's more of a head voice. Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. So that's what I would call a bit of a mixed voice, you know, where it's mainly here, but it is a fuller sound. It's not just a head voice like a falsetto. It's, welcome to the jungle. And I'm switching. That's stronger, you know. Welcome to the jungle. That's more me pushing my real voice, you know, pushing my voice right up. But you can also welcome more in the throat, you know. Welcome to the jungle. You got fun and games. You got the money, honey. We got your disease in the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. So you'll hear I'm switching between techniques. Bring it to ya. So if you're struggling to do everything in a full voice, in a high pitch, then, you know, try it in a lower, you know, kind of a high, like a welcome, more airy, less effort. Welcome. So it starts from that kind of voice. Welcome to the jungle. Welcome. You just got to work on adding that grit into it. It's not an easy tutorial, this, but I'm kind of showing you some different ways you can do it, because it's, you know, something you can kind of imitate and see if you can create the same sounds, because it's not really something easy to demonstrate. You know, I've done tutorials on how to sing like Rob Halford, but, you know, people always want to hear a more detailed description of how I'm hitting the high, grated high notes like I am. We're going to listen to a bit of Screaming for Vengeance now to hear a different side of Rob Halford's voice. Bit more Axl Rose here, you know, but with a bit more grit in some ways. What they're giving, maybe it's out of phase with me. What's never gonna win the race? No smoke it in the face. Screaming. The one is the man of complaints. So again, it's mainly in a, hey, listen, did you let them get your mind? But it's kind of mixed, you know, because it's a bit more thicker, a bit more fullness to the sound. Hey, listen, did you let them get your mind? But then you kind of have the nice little sounds and more like a head voice, but perfected into a strong sound, you know. Hey, listen, don't you let them get your mind. For your brain with poison, that's not right. The word is. Spin around in the torture before the dread. See, it's kind of like a very wild, manic kind of voice on this one. Different to Painkiller. Different kind of pitch and kind of rawness to the voice. He's not as extreme with like, pain faster than a bullet. You know, it's more like, hey, listen, don't you let them get your mind. Bit more airy sound, you know, a bit more, you know. It's still a strong sound. The thing with Rob, he manages to make it sound strong no matter what he's doing, which is quite unique to him. Whereas a lot of us who might try and do that voice, it might not have the strength, but it could all be in the mix and different things as well that make it sound a fuller sound, you know.
I don't talk about it, but that's alright. Tables turning others, revenge inside.
I don't talk about it, but that's alright. So it's that kind of voice, you know. The world is a maniacal place. Screaming of vengeance. The world is a maniacal place. So yeah, that's like a mixed voice. So, you know, Rob uses quite a mix, you know. He goes from a kind of, hey, listen, don't you let him? Hey, get your balls to the wall, man. It's that kind of voice, if you can get that kind of sound. So get that Udo voice. Hey, listen, don't you let him? And then some cleaner pitch. Hey, listen, don't you let him get your mind? Put your brain apart, that's not right. Kind of, and quite snappy, sharp high notes, you know. Hey, listen, don't you let him get your mind? It's all very snappy, very catchy, snappy vocals, and that's good for that high voice, you know. It comes out kind of better, you know. So yeah, I mean, that's a bit of a tutorial there for you guys. I hope it helps you in some capacity, because I'm better when I'm just talking about one singer and trying to dissect them, but I've had a few people ask me for this kind of more of an in-depth analysis of how I'm hitting, and a tutorial, you know, how I'm hitting that high note. You know, let's listen to Rob do a bit of Devil's Child now.
You sold out, my cat. You got the bottle through. Oh, wow, that's a cluster, Jimmy. You know the big
So he's mixing between a low, got your claws stuck in me, you never let me go, I believe you're the devil. That kind of thing. I believe you're the devil's child. I believe. And it's kind of like effortless, you know. I believe you're the devil. I believe you're the devil's child. Turn my dreams in, now it seems. So again, it's using, get your full voice perfected first, you know, your normal singing voice for the verses and things. You know, learn to sing well would be my tip, and use your range. And then when it gets to the high notes, you know, Rob kind of, depending on the song, he switches like this one, you know. Put your brain apart. That's the wrong song. What's this song, Devil's Child? Hypnotize me, mesmerize me, feel my willpower slip, light my fire with cold desire. You might add in a little thing like that. Losing all my grip, eat my diamonds, drinking all my gin. Oh, light of sin, oh no, you're so damn wicked. And sort of switch between some nice tones, some higher tones. You got me by the throat. And then that is a nice segue into, oh no, you got your claws stuck in me. You never let me go. There's a lot going on there. High notes, you know, high voice, falsetto, reinforced falsetto, and you've got natural full voice. Oh no, you got your claws stuck in me. You never let me go. And that's a falsetto, and then it's like a mix kind of, I believe you're the devil. A very forced kind of high note, you know, adding a lot of grit. So, let it grind here in the nasal kind of area, really. Oh no! I believe you're the devil! There we go. It might not be good for your sinuses, but if you want to achieve that sound, that's kind of how it is. I mean, it doesn't hurt me when I'm doing it, so, you know, I assume I'm doing it right, because it's, you know, I never get any pain or anything with this kind of vocal style. The only vocal style that hurts me sometimes is if I'm like, death metal, doing death metal, black metal vocals. Even that is like, I need to cough or something, you know. That kind of voice, you know, that does hurt unless you do it properly. This kind of voice, you know, if it's hurting you, you're probably not doing it right. So yeah, anyway, I hope that gives you some hope. But I don't know if it was a good tutorial or not, I'll be honest. But I've played some stuff. I've kind of demonstrated how some different rock stars of the 80s sing, because that's why you're here. You want to sing like a proper 80s rock star. Don't we all? You know, we love that voice. And, you know, that's what I've been here to try and explain to you today. So, yeah, good luck, guys. I hope that helps you achieve that kind of high distorted scream. And, yeah, good luck. Check out my music. Lots of music out on the platform, Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff. Metal Matt. Check it out. Hit the subscribe. Turn on the notifications or whatever for Spotify and iTunes and everything. My songs I'd recommend, because, you know, there are some that are much better than other ones. So The King of Hearts is a biggie. Mexico is a fun one. Got some scream vocals on that. It's a nice song as well. King of Hearts is my favorite. I think a lot of you will like that. It's proper rock ballad. And I've worked with a lot of different people on the music, you know, this The King of Hearts is with Carmine, a guy in New York who composed the amazing music. Beautiful heavy metal ballad. So, you know, I know what is good, because you know, I know what I was impressed with when I heard the music. You know, I'll give the people I work with, you know, I'm lucky to work with a few collaborators who've found me on things like YouTube and stuff and contacted me and wanted to work with me. So that's how I've done the music over the years. I've got different collaborators, and Carmine's one of my main ones, and he you know, I love this piece of music, and then it gave me a lot of inspiration for the vocals, and it was probably one of my most operatic and kind of next level kind of vocal performances. So I'm happy with it in all ways, lyrically, vocally, and the music is fantastic. So The King of Hearts I love. Mexico is great because it features John Foster, a Bronxy beat. Hit that perfect beat, boy. You might remember that in the 80s. He's singing on it with me, doing backing vocals. Fantastic. That was a dream come true. I love that song. You know, I grew up on that stuff. Love Bronxy beat. And then, so yeah, Mexico, that's worth checking out. King of Hearts, Mexico. Changes in You, that was one of the songs I properly went in the studio and recorded, which I don't do very often. Everything's pretty remote when I'm recording and different things, but King of Hearts, not King of Hearts, Changes in You was a proper studio job, and it's, yeah, that was with a guy called James Joseph on guitar, and we had fun recording that one. Dom Jolly's in the music video, so that was fun. We enjoyed doing that. And that is a proper studio job, and it's a proper rock song. If you want a proper rock song, bit emotional, bit you know, bit of emotion in there, a bit gothic kind of, but very rocky, Alice Cooper vibes. Yeah, Changes in You, that might be for you. They're probably the top three I'd say check out. Alien Invasion is quite fun. Joey Belladonna introduced that one. The singer of Anthrax, he did a cool little intro. So yeah, that's a few I'd say check out. And yeah, see if you like it. I got here on the channel, you just hit my playlist, you'll be able to hear all these songs. I've got a playlist on my homepage of my rock star interviews. I've interviewed many rock stars, and then underneath that it's my music videos, which I put a lot of effort into, so I hope you enjoy. Please check them out, leave a comment, share with your friends. yeah, I put all the music videos kind of in the best to the worst, or just the best at the top anyway. You know, the best ones I put easy to find. So yeah, check them out. And I got all my best covers in the playlist as well. So just check out the homepage of the channel and check out my other platforms and enjoy. Please leave a tip in the tip jar if you've enjoyed this and found it useful. There's a virtual tip jar in the comments. Thank you. I tried my best to explain, so yeah, it's a free lesson for you guys. So yeah, leave me a tip. I'll get some cervezas or something. I'm in Mexico, by the way, so that's why I'm sweating so much. Right, bye.